Do you like wrestling? Do you ever watch wrestling?
No. Nope.
And The Rock said, whoa, 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 whoa. Because
What's up, gang? Welcome to Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman, the podcast that breaks down the biggest stories in and out of the ring. I am your host. My name is Mike Wellman. Thank you for hitting that play button. We appreciate you here, as always. This is episode 75, if you can believe it, of Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. Got a lot to get to on this episode. We are going to talk about Sting's last match, the final Showtime, folks. It was incredible. One of the most incredible things I've ever witnessed as a wrestling fan, and I am here to tell you why. I thoroughly enjoyed AEW Revolution 2024 and Sting's last match. Of course, we're going to talk about that Darby Allin suicide attempt on the glass, some other stuff from Revolution. And we're also going to talk about The Rock finally acknowledging his tribal chief, his blood, Roman Reigns, on Smackdown. The Rock's 21-minute Instagram promo. We got to talk about that from last week. Then also the 40 or so minutes we got of The Rock and the Bloodline on Friday Night Smackdown. So going to get to all that. And if we have time, we're going to talk about a little Blitzkrieg pro show that I went to last weekend with none other than the man himself, wrestling fan Kris, who is joining us now. What's up, Kris?
What's going on? Good to be here, even though I do not love you, and I am not sorry.
Jeez. That's how you're going to treat me in my last podcast here?
That's right.
That's how you're going to retire me? Sorry, Sting. We don't love you. Or no, we're not sorry. We hate you.
That's what it was. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Obviously, we do love Sting here on the podcast, and we're going to talk about that for probably a solid half hour. But yes, we got a lot to get to on this episode. Sting's last match, The Rock, the Bloodline, and a Blitzkrieg Pro show in Westfield, Massachusetts. It was a fun night in Westfield, Massachusetts. Absolutely. I came home and told my wife, that was easily the most exciting thing going on tonight in Westfield, Massachusetts.
I think so.
No one doubted me. But yes, well, we got a lot to get to, but before we go any farther, that's right. We need you to be kind, like, subscribe, and share. Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. You already know where to find the podcast: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Watch Wrestling. We're bringing back the post show. After this show, we are going into the Book of Wrestling on Patreon. So be sure to check that out and support the podcast on Patreon if you are so inclined. You can find us on social media. Watch Wrestling Pod on Facebook, Watch Wrestling Podcast on Instagram, and on X at W Wrestling Pod. Folks, if you are not following us on the socials, you're missing out. Plain and simple. Period. Full stop. No mas. Follow us, and we look forward to having zero problems. Big fella. What do you guys think of this second camera that I finally got working? For some reason, my USB port finally works, and here we are. So, you're welcome. All right, Kris. Hey, Kris, you know who had their last match this weekend?
Who?
Sting! Yes. Sting. If this would have been sad and more bittersweet if it wasn't so amazing. Right? I loved everything about this. This was one of the most perfectly executed wrestling shows. I mean, even just the end, the Sting match I've ever seen. For one, the crowd signs, by announcing the retirement in advance, people can prepare with these artistic signs, right? Mm-hmm. This was like movie-esque, the scene of this whole thing, right? I mean, you had these dignitaries I mean, if you can call Ric Flair a dignitary, but
Yeah.
the legend, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ric Flair was there. In the crowd, we had Lex Luger, Magnum TA, my dad. Who else was there in the
Oh,
crowd?
man.
Ivan Koloff.
Of course.
Not Ivan Koloff.
Nikita Koloff.
Nikita Koloff. I don't think Ivan Koloff was there.
I don't think so either.
But yes, all of some Sting's contemporaries. And that's the first thing. So I had to rewatch this Sting match. And that was the first thing I kind of thought back was these old guys, which they objectively are, right?
Oh, yeah.
These old guys are walking out here, getting this legend pop in Greensboro, as Jay White would call it. Greensboro. And, it's like, well, why are these old guys walking out? Well, they're here to pay homage to their contemporary, the legend Sting, which is what we are all here to do, right? And to pay respect to Sting and his legendary career. And then I go back to thinking, and these old guys are walking out here with white hair, limping. They look like elderly men because they are. And the man that is their contemporary is about to wrestle and not phone it in whatsoever, right? So
Oh, yeah.
the man that had his best matches against these two old men is about to come out and wrestle his ass off. Well, go through a bunch of tables at least, right? So that was just incredible to me, just the fact that these guys, they look their age because they're old. It's fine. And then we're all here to see a guy who's their contemporary come out here.
I mean, it is pretty incredible. If you think about Lex Luger, he's been retired for like 25 years. Retired for 25 years. I don't think Nikita Koloff has been around for 30 years. And Sting has been wrestling that entire time.
It really
Insane.
is the length of time. Like they talked about Sting, I believe it was Sting and Flair wrestling to a draw in March of 1988. This is before I was born.
It's incredible. Yeah. Oh, my God.
And I am not a Zoomer. So
Yeah.
So just a testament to the length and longevity of Sting's career. And so then we get this, what we call on the podcast, the Darby Allin Film School vignette, this intro, and this was amazing. And just in general, these packages, these video packages that they've made for Sting were, I mean, I watched them 3 or 4 times because I say it all the time on this show that one of the unfortunate things when we finally do, pay respects to wrestlers, it's usually after they pass away. So most of the time, these wrestlers are not here with us to watch these amazing highlight reels of their entire career when we're getting teary-eyed about it, right? But in this case, Sting is obviously right here along with us to soak in the moment, and they showed you that in this, the film school video where they show this video of Sting going into a movie theater, and there's like this old-timey theater music playing, and the Stinger Scorpion comes on the screen, and then it's just Sting watching himself like it's Mystery Science Theater. No.
Still.
He was watching, the still images of Surfer Sting in his early days, walking down the aisle, the few bits of footage from his early career, juxtaposing it with him showing up in AEW, and it really made me think just the stuff he's done in AEW has been legendary, Like I said, we make fun of the Darby videos, but when you watch him in this super cut, it's really a lot of awesome scenes, right? Like when they're driving down the highway, Sting looks over and says, "It's showtime." Like, yeah, it's not groundbreaking or anything by itself, but when you put that with the, Sting and Darby walking through the abandoned warehouse with the other guys with the face paint, and then they had that match in the warehouse, and just all of the death-defying dives Sting has done, like I said, just in AEW, it's truly been an epic comeback, probably one of the best, career-ending comebacks ever. And he ended up going undefeated in the end of his career, 29-0 in AEW.
It's great. And also, give credit to everyone who booked him, whether it's just Tony Khan or himself or whoever, because he definitely has limitations because he is old. but it didn't look like it. He did what he could, jumping off stuff, but didn't do too much. I guess you don't consider that too much, but like he really did whatever he could do, and it all looked great. And it wasn't like just plodding around and not being able to do a thing. It was actually very, very good.
Right, and this we've seen Sting in matches, and he's had some limited movement, right? And we're all saying, my God, he's a 60-plus-year-old man. Go easy on him. And then we see him dive off the balcony like New Jack.
Yeah.
And then, I didn't expect him to do so much in this match. And he kind of outdid himself, right? I don't think anybody expected what we got. Because there was a few times in his AEW run where Sting would just get thrown into the ropes and he would kind of stumble like an old man. It's like, whoa, guys.
Yeah.
Let's not kill him. And then for that guy to come out and have the match that they had was amazing.
Well, that's another testament to announcing your retirement and having an exact time for it. Because then you as the wrestler can be like, I got one more in me, and you can actually do a little more than trying to preserve yourself for future endeavors.
So, which the Young Bucks did future endeavor Sting in the match, but they're showing Sting in the movie theater, and it's like every one of these moments is emotional and sentimental because now, like you said, announcing the retirement in advance, now the buildup has been Sting's last appearance in this city, in that city, Sting's last match in California, Sting's last match in New York, all of these, the final event, and it's like, this is now the final of these Sting Darby Allin film school videos, right?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And then, they even called it in the video, the final showtime, right? Which I thought was good. And so Sting finally, he's watching these incredible moments juxtaposing quicker and quicker, just these epic Sting moments. And, he's laughing about some of them. And then they get to the Young Bucks attacking Sting after they won the tag team championships and attacking his sons. And now it's like, okay, now we're, it is a highlight reel, but now we're getting into what, the story of how we got here. So now Sting is kind of contemplative in the movie theater seat, and he looks right into the camera, and he says, it's showtime for the last time. Then he just looks into the camera and just says perfectly, let's do this. And it's like, that got me amped up. I remember I had already fallen asleep during the pay-per-view and woken back up, spoiler. And, I had to work the next day. It was on a Sunday night. I remember getting so amped up during this match. I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to fall asleep after this? And sure enough, I was up pretty late.
Blame the Stinger.
All because of the Stinger. But so he says, let's do this. And it's like, this crowd is here to see Sting. This was a perfect place to put this match in Greensboro. Just a perfect scene. AEW's been having some attendance issues, right? They got 16,000, almost 17,000 people in that building for this.
Yeah.
And it was great. The whole scene. So then, now we get to after the match, right? After the video, like I said, Ric Flair comes out. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat comes out. And then we get the Young Bucks coming out. Even the Young Bucks coming out made this feel big. They were main event trolling in this scenario, right? They pulled out all the stops. They came up on the Cody Vader, folks.
Yes.
In AEW. And they're wearing these like boxing robes, and their new music is very similar to like the Roman Reigns Tribal Chief entrance music, right? Where it's like this epic, just this epic. And they come out and they're just, they did their job, right? Which was make Sting look amazing in this match. And get a lot of heat in this match too. So they come out, and then Darby comes out, right? And it's like, again, for Darby, this is the last time you're teaming with this guy who's been a mentor to you and has changed your career, changed your life. This legendary person who was like a father and a best friend to you over the past few years. This is the last time, right? So Darby's up at the top of the ramp, and then Sting's music hits. And we actually, out first, come Sting's two sons, which I thought was a nice touch. Sting's sons dressed as the Surfer Sting, or the Great American Bash Sting, and the Wolfpack NWO Red and Black Sting.
Awesome.
So they're up at the top of the ramp. And then we get the man himself. And again, each moment, it's like this is the last time of this. The last legendary entrance of Sting. So, and now he's up there with his sons. Like, what more could you ask for? You're getting to retire in front of a giant crowd, surrounded by people who love you and worship you, still physically capable of putting on a commendable match. And it's like, let's do this. So he walks down to the ring with his sons and Darby, his other son, and they're just off. They just start fighting the Young Bucks right away, right? What's going on, Kris? Oh, that's my camera. Oops, sorry. I'm blaming you. Somebody's backing up a truck here. So it's just a little DoorDash delivery I got in my basement. They're backing up the truck. So this match went hard. I don't think anybody would disagree.
No, absolutely not. It went hard.
Too hard, some might say.
For some people in the match, particularly.
We'll get to the Darby spot, because it's just the one spot I have to talk about. I mean, we're watching this, and they're just disappearing down the ramp into the crowd. We get, I believe it was a Falcon Arrow from Nicholas Jackson onto Darby through 2 tables off the ramp. Sting goes through a table off the ramp.
Yes, he does.
Right? They come back, and I feel like this Darby Glass spot happened pretty early, right? It definitely changed the tone of the match, but it kind of happened pretty early in the match, I feel like. So then, I don't know who set up these chairs or this glass, but it was there. And people were talking about this spot. Darby Allin has Nick Jackson kind of near this glass, and then he goes up, and he knows he might die. He knows, like he had to kind of work himself up for a second there, and he just jumps his ass off this ladder onto this pane of glass and just the chairs that it was set up on, instantly bleeding. Right, so he had a few large lacerations that were instantly visible from where his shoulder and lower back hit the opposite chairs, where he actually hit the chairs. And credit to Darby for selling this like he died, right? So then the camera pans to Darby's back, and after this glass just explodes everywhere.
Oh yeah, that glass shatter was insane.
I mean, it hit people in the crowd, clearly.
Oh.
So then Darby's just laying there, and you see all of these little red dots start to develop on his back, and then they just start to erupt, and he's leaking blood out of like no less than 50 spots on his back. And it's like, this thing goes from like bad to worse. It's like, oh my God, like he could be bleeding out right now. Like he could literally die. So they went over to him off camera, because I mean, just that's an alarming amount of blood, I feel like, to just start coming out. You know, you got to check on him at least. So they kind of did those little stitch bandages on him, right? But for all intents and purposes, Darby Allin is out of this match, right? Until the very end. He's out of the match. Now it's just Sting against the Young Bucks, or against the EVPs, right? And yes, we get to the spot where they're beating up Sting. It's kind of out of order here. I don't know which order we're going in, but Sting goes through glass as well in the corner. That glass shot out into like the third row.
Yeah, that was,
I saw a little kid with Sting face paint on get glass just blown by his head. It's like, geez. So Sting goes through glass. He goes through another table. Outside the ring, you know, all these glass spots that can kill people, those are fine. But when Nicholas Jackson went to go grab that AEW Tag Team title belt, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had seen enough.
That's right.
So Steamboat gets up. He tags both the Young Bucks. He gets a nice chair shot to the ribs on Steamboat. And then Flair just sneaks in the ring like a little weasel. Flair playing to the cheap seats in this one. He goes over. Yeah, this was after the glass, because Sting is in the corner recovering from this, going through a pane of glass. So Flair covers up Sting, and he's like, no, don't. Like, he did it like 5 times. It was great, because, you got to play to the cheap seats. You're in Greensboro. There's a lot of people up there that can't,
That's right.
So he's like shielding Sting from an attack. And then they pick up Ric Flair, and they super kick Ric Flair right in the face. And I believe it was Sean Ross Sapp who got a nice image of Ric Flair just laying vertically, just looking up at the ceiling. And
yes, that was.
All you have to do is just kick him, and he doesn't. It's like he's gonna sell it because he's an old man that you just kicked in the face.
That's right.
Like he doesn't have to try hard. You just have to kick him a little, and he's gonna be done for, right? Which is basically what they did. They just kicked Ric Flair in the face.
Just make him go from his knees to his back. It doesn't even have to be that hard of a kick. That's enough for that old man to be laid up.
Like when he says he passed out twice in his last match. Jeez.
Yeah. Ugh.
So Flair's kicked in the face, and like I said, I don't remember exactly the order, but the what we get is a bunch. Now it's just the Young Bucks just destroying Sting right in the ring. So there's like a Scorpion Death Drop by Matthew Jackson on Sting. Sting kicks out. A EVP trigger. Sting kicks out. I don't remember the exact move they hit Sting with, but he kicks out at 1. I think it was another EVP trigger, and he kicks out at 1, and that really got me going. Yeah. The way some of these guys kick out at 1, and Sting has this thing where when he no-sells a move, it's believable because it's Sting,
Yeah, it's very.
And he's
then he beats his chest. Yeah.
So then we get the spot that you referenced in the beginning of the show, the homage, if you will, to Shawn Michaels retiring Ric Flair back at WrestleMania 24. It was 24, right? I think.
Yeah, I believe 24. Yeah.
And I see the Young Bucks standing there, and I'm like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do I hope they say "I love you" to Sting right now. And the camera zooms in on him, and Matthew just goes, "Sting, we're not sorry. We hate you." And then they super kick Sting right in the face, to which Sting falls backwards slightly and just comes right back up and beats his chest, no selling the double super kick.
That's how you do it. It's
adrenaline
amazing.
Right into my veins.
Yes.
So, and the crowd was going nuts for this one too. So there was a spot in this match though where the Young Bucks there was like a tipping point, right? They're beating the shit out of Sting, and they already took out Darby, right? They already took out the dignitaries. So now Sting's alone. Like you've already tied up all the loose ends where there's no one left to help him, right? Oh, and speaking of that, earlier in the match, in the beginning, things got off to a nice start because Sting's two sons in their Sting gear were able to deliver a couple of why am I blanking out on this? The Stinger Splash in the corner, and one of his sons hit a Stinger Splash that was like out of this world. The dude in the red and black Sting.
Oh yeah, that vertical. I mean, the first Stinger Splash was fine, but the second one was like soaring.
Yeah, and there's the photo online of the perspective of seeing him coming toward you. And dude is just smiling his ass off. It's like, good for you, man.
Absolutely.
Because it can be cheesy when you get non-wrestlers involved in spots, and also when you have them wearing like face paint and stuff, but that was just great. Sting's out there with just a bunch of other Stings.
Like the heyday.
They should have got the fake Sting.
Yeah. NWO Sting should have been there.
I don't know if he's available. But, so that happened, right? But then, and towards the end here, they're just killing Sting. And I really thought what we were going to see was whatever move they hit Sting with, like the Scorpion Death Drop, right? He's going to kick out. Then they do the double, the EVP trigger. Okay, fine, he kicks out. But they just kept hitting him with one move, pin attempt, to where I really thought they were just, this is like the layering in of the moves that it's going to take to finally put Sting down. And that crowd was like really starting to boo it, and it was just like this boo, like this negative energy was just building up. And I really thought for a moment, I was like, oh my God, this is it. They're going to do it. They're going to just kill Sting right now. Because they did everything. They checked all the boxes. Like I said, they took out Darby. They took out Sting's friends. He already went through the glass. The high spots are done, right? And then he already kicked out of the move once. Now you got to do it again to finish him off. That, I believe, is when Sting kicked out at 1. But, man.
Yeah.
So then Darby... so they're going to do their newish move, the TK driver, formerly known as the Meltzer driver. But Darby comes in, pushes Nicholas off the top rope. He goes through a table.
Oof. Yep.
Then We get bloody Darby with his back that looks like... I mean, Darby had so much blood on him and open wounds. I said, is this Darby Allin or is this Thumbtack Jack?
Oh, God.
Just lacerations everywhere.
Horrible.
So Darby and his bloody body get up on the top rope and hit, I believe it was Matthew, with the coffin drop. And we get him in a Scorpion Deathlock. And Matthew Jackson taps out to the Scorpion Deathlock. Sting and Darby Allin win in the main event of AEW Revolution 2024, retaining the AEW Tag Team titles. What a moment for Sting to have as his last match.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Top tier execution by everyone involved. It was very good.
It was like a movie. Every aspect of this, the perfect execution. The Young Bucks, people can criticize them all they want. They're pros. Nobody botched any spots in this match. You know?
This is the Young Bucks that I love. You know, I need smart Young Bucks like this. But they're so good at whatever they need to do. And they really came to play. They did everything perfectly. So good.
They're the Young Bucks are the kings of having like 50 spots in a match, for one, which is what this match kind of had and kind of needed. They're also the kings of getting a tremendous amount of heat. So while everybody's online hating on the Young Bucks, realize that they contributed to the awesomeness of Sting beating them by getting so much heat for Sting to then take and turn around, right? For the comeback.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know if it'd be as epic if it wasn't for them.
Right. That's what I mean, is that that's why it's called heat, right? It's like they heated that crowd up. I mean, it's Sting's last match. They're going to be a pretty decent crowd. And that's the other thing. Sting face paint all in this crowd. And you know what I was thinking about when I was looking around the crowd, seeing just so many different variations of the Sting face paint is, man, do you realize our entire life, I mean, not every single wrestling show, but for our entire life, consistently, at wrestling events and non-wrestling events, meaning like other wrestling associated stuff, people have rocked Sting face paint. Like, this is a thing that has stood the test of time. People painting their face like Sting. Even when Sting is not even in the company, Sting was retired for a good period of time. It's just, if he's so synonymous with wrestling that anything related to wrestling, people would just wear Sting face paint and you instantly know not only who it is, but it's just like part of the lexicon. Like if you go to any wrestling convention, it's not just because he's popular now because of his recent last match. I'm telling you, over the years, it never wavered. You know, like some t-shirts will come in and out of style, like the NWO t-shirt, it'll be cool again, or the Bullet Club shirts were for a while, or you know, it's cool to wear like the old throwback 90s t-shirt style now, like the text on it and stuff. But yeah, Sting, like that's one thing I was thinking when I was looking at the crowd is this is a crowd, for one, just full of people with their face painted. But I thought, but almost every wrestling show, really ever, somebody's painting their face like Sting, right? It's just something that, like I said, has stood the test of time. And here we are getting to celebrate Sting with Sting. You know, I think that's the best part about it.
That's a great point you made. Yeah, exactly. It is so rare to have the actual wrestler there getting celebrated and being alive.
It's also like just looking back on all the highlights of Sting's career, it's hard to like put into words how much of a legend he really is in wrestling. The consistency, you know, and there were these moments that derailed him historically. I mean, think Hogan botching the match, right? Go to freaking Jeff Hardy in TNA, right? Showing up. I mean, it's just an infamous moment. It didn't necessarily derail Sting, but still. Triple H at WrestleMania 31 having to get the win with a mother effing slow count on Sting at WrestleMania 31, the disrespect.
It's horrible, yeah.
Obviously, the Seth Rollins buckle bomb thing, not that it was, you know, ill-intended or anything. It's just kind of ended his career on a not great note. And then for him to come into AEW, and it's just amazing the whole way through. And one other thing I was telling my wife was like, Sting is an old guy, and if you watch his movement closely, it tracks. Like he's not beating Father Time, right? He's showing his age, but the way they book Sting, the way they present him on TV, this guy is like a scary guy. Like when he shows up, you're going to get your ass kicked, and it's believable. No one's sitting there saying, "Oh, this guy's 60 plus years old." No, like this is the guy you don't want to see because they booked him so well.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep.
And it's like, as a fictional character on TV, despite his age, it's still entirely believable. Unlike any other older guy, really.
Even the Undertaker nowadays.
Yeah, and that was a debate online as well, which we don't have to get into, but again, it's hard to put into words Sting's legendary career. It's unique in a lot of ways, and it's just, I feel like he's in a class of his own, you know, with the longevity, the consistency, and I don't remember. I think Tony Schiavone said it as the pay-per-view was closing. They said, and he's a better man than he is a wrestler.
That's
so
nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, probably is he. We don't have to get into this too deep either, but he's probably the greatest wrestler that really. I know we're not going to count his little time in WWE. He's probably the greatest like non-WWE wrestler of all time.
Could be.
I think so.
Yeah, but yeah, just all around. Again, I watched it twice, and I want to watch it more. Like wrestling is rarely this good, as just it just gave us such a reason to be happy as wrestling fans. And then it's like, yes, it is sad because, like I said, each one of these moments, this is the last time. This is the last entrance for Sting. This is the last match. This is the last time we will see Sting's faded ass face paint after a match. But it's like they just did a good enough job where it's all you can ask for. It's like, it was great. I don't know what else to say.
When this DVD comes out or Blu-ray, whatever the home media is nowadays, if it ever does, I'll be getting it immediately.
Oh God, yes! Make a steelbook of this. Take my money.
Yes, please.
This is like a moment that needs to be like distilled in time. Right.
Absolutely.
So there was the rest of the pay-per-view as well, which we're not going to spend too much time on. It was, I thought, overall, Revolution 2024, great show, tons of great matches. I liked how they didn't take the focus off of Sting. Like, we just put over Sting hard, you know, the main event. It was just one of the best endings of a show, for one, also, ever. But I like how there was no controversy. Like, they're saving everything now, right? Now, in AEW, there's going to be some big business happening, right? But they didn't try to overshadow Sting in any way. It was just a true tribute to Sting. And the matches on the card were all great. And just some of the matches I liked. Christian Cage and Daniel Garcia, that was a great opening match. Just a great match all around, but just a great opening match to get the people kind of get the show started, even though there was pre-show matches, obviously. The Moxley and Claudio versus FTR, great tag team match. They Moxley and Claudio came out with some bootleg ass Road Warrior gear. Right? They came out wearing Road Warrior shoulder pads, man, and they look tiny. And it made me think, everyone who's ever worn any version of like imitation Road Warrior pads, it always looks bootleg and like a kid's toy, right? And this kind of did as well. They were just wearing some, I mean, it wasn't a bad, like, what would you call it? Like a art project, right? The shoulder pads. But it just made me think, man, these pads, and any pads generally, look small on people, right, when they wear these shoulder pads. How effing big must have been those Road Warrior shoulder pads? Because the Road Warriors themselves were gigantic, and the shoulder pads looked appropriate to their size. These shoulder pads must have been as big as like Vader's Mastodon helmet.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, you're right.
Like, man.
But this match, find out.
They came out dressed like the Road Warriors in Greensboro, and they did a little Doomsday device with a little uppercut above the rest. It was like a Doomsday uppercut above the rest, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, this was just an awesome, great match, you know. And then another good match. It was this next one was, you know, it was so-so. Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. Ever heard of it?
It was okay, yeah, so-so.
I would give this match all the stars.
Oh yeah.
Like for the whole night. Just give it all the stars. Just give it like all or nothing, this match. Yeah. This graphic came up on the screen and I told myself, I was like, I don't know how much energy I have for this. Like it's been a decent show so far. I don't know if I can handle this match right now. With the emotion of Sting's impending retirement.
Yeah.
But no, they had a epic confrontation, these two. Will Ospreay, Konosuke Takeshita. Why am I saying his name wrong? What am I on? Konosuke Takeshita.
There you go.
So, every year of my life had a Tiger Driver in this match. Tiger Driver 1988, Tiger Driver 1989, Tiger Driver 1990, Tiger Driver 1991, Tiger Driver 1992. That one should be banned. Tiger Driver 1993. I mean, there was a Tiger Driver, like I said, for every year of the last century.
And you give a star for each Tiger Driver too. There you go.
So a lot of Tiger Drivers, and so there's always matches, especially nowadays, with guys like Will Ospreay, Takeshita, Omega, MJF, people who have these great matches, and Okada. But this match is now like the bar, right, for these matches, right? Like, I'm not going to say that Konosuke Takeshita is the best wrestler in the world. He's one of them, though, for sure.
Absolutely.
And I am going to say that Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world right now.
That's fair.
So, mark it down, folks. It's not even a controversial statement. Let's face it.
No, it's not.
Kenny Omega is out injured. No one in WWE is going to be able to have the type of matches that Will Ospreay has.
No. I just got really excited thinking of Ospreay and Okada. Sorry.
I'm yeah. Well, did you look at the book?
I didn't.
It's in the book. Yeah. So, don't worry. That'll happen. I think.
Good thing you've put in the book. I need to see it.
Yeah, it's like, once it gets written in the book, it's like the universe just happens. But yes, Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world. Don't fight me. Don't at me. Don't come see me. Just be kind, like, and subscribe. Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. No, I mean, like I said, I don't think it's that controversial of a statement. Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world.
I don't think so either.
So I love this match. It was great. Easily a 5+ star match. I would guess Meltzer's probably going to give it more than 5 stars.
Good.
You know what match I think we should get is Ospreay versus Danielson. Then we can really fight about who's the best wrestler in the world.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. That's it. Oh my God. Woo.
I'm not even going to write that one down. I'm afraid to.
The book will just explode. It'll be too much hot fire.
My hand will be like resisting writing it. So, yeah, that was a great match. I want to just talk about Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy. Poor Orange Cassidy. This man's back.
Oh, God.
It's just one of AEW, if not AEW's greatest ever champion, Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Losing the
Take some
title.
time off. Take some time off, pal.
Yeah, I mean, take a week off at least. Jeez. At least just so you can stay fresh, right? But yeah, it was time for Orange Cassidy to drop the belt. I mean, you can only take so many, like, phenomenal beatings and believably come back. And the story for the last month has been he's barely cleared. We told him not to wrestle, but if he wears, and then Doc Samson said, like, if he wears tape, he's cleared. It's like, okay.
Thanks, Doc.
So he wore the K-tape on, like, his whole body. He was like a mummy of kinesiology tape. But it helps to sell the
I like it.
the injury. And it also doesn't help all the guys who are not selling any injury, but yet they're taped up. Like, what are you doing? These guys are all taped up. I mean, it does help support your muscles if they're not in the best shape. They're.
Yeah.
And if you're back. So then the moves Orange Cassidy was taking in this match on his back, like, I don't remember the exact move, but one of them he lands back first on the top turnbuckle, like and just bounces. And it's like, okay, great. You're trying to build up the fact that this is the beating that's going to actually take him out. But for one, any one of these moves would just send someone to the hospital, right? If your back was already injured and Roderick Strong came up and delivered the end of heartache to you, like, you're going to the hospital. Your spine is exploded. Like, it
Yes.
kind of loses believability at a certain point, because it's like if you just shot someone with a shotgun over and over again and then they just got up. You know,
Good point.
it's like, you're not going to get up. So it was like that. The moves on his back, but especially that one off the turnbuckle was like, Jesus, what are you trying to do? Kill him? What are you trying to do? Make sure none of his vertebrae are in one piece?
Yeah, I mean, I know you're trying to sell the beating, but you don't actually have to give him a beating.
But it was a destruction of the vertebrae of Orange Cassidy.
Ugh.
So, and I just also want to take time out to say, I think Roderick Strong is one of the best wrestlers in the world right now as well. Underrated supremely. I don't know if he's the most underrated wrestler, because there's a lot of great wrestlers that are underrated. But, man, this
He
dude,
definitely is.
I mean, you could easily put Roderick Strong as a AEW world title challenger, and he would go out there and have a phenomenal match with any champion. You know, like, he could easily be a contender for the AEW World Championship.
Without a doubt.
The goofy stuff they've been doing with him, with the Undisputed Kingdom and the Adam, it's like, okay. Also, what's up with his voice? His voice, I don't know what the word for Roderick Strong's voice is.
Hell yeah.
I don't know about that mustache.
I don't like it either, but hey, maybe it's heat.
Got heat with me, that mustache. No, definitely Roderick Strong, folks. One of the best in the world, okay? So just wanted to talk about that. Deonna Purrazzo did not win the AEW Women's Championship. I was surprised.
Me too.
I think we're building towards that, though.
It's fine. I want timeless Tony Storm on my screen at all times. She doesn't have to be the champion. Just keep that going.
She's still calling out Wendy Richter. I think we're going to get that one.
Finally.
Tony Storm at the press conference said, like, I want these events to start later so we can all have breakfast together.
That's just incredible. That's so stupid.
And what did you think about this pre-show match? What a gimmick this was. We had the 12-man tag. It was the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, all 6 of them, versus Private Party, Satnam Singh, Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Willie Mack. What a weird match this was.
I did like the strut in unison though. That was fun.
Yeah. And I do like the Max Caster bit where he choked on the rap and now he's like, can't rap. It's hilarious.
You're right. That's good too. It's good.
So we had this match that was supposed to be the Meat Man match, but there was this 8-man scramble, which AEW needs to do more scrambles because scramble matches are so fun, right? Just the style that they do them in, it's like it's like a spot fest, right? And it's a fun style when they do it right. We see on the indies all the time. And this was a random group of dudes, was it not? Chris
Yes.
Jericho is in a match with Hook and Dante Martin, and it's also got Wardlow and Brian Cage and Magnus. Ask me if I knew who Magnus was 3 weeks ago. No, don't ask me.
Okay, sorry.
Lance Archer is in this match. I did like how they had the 4 big guys face off in like the meat moment. And then they had the 4 small guys also face off. And everybody's like, meat. And it's like the 4 skinny guys.
The meat moment. That's good. I like that a lot.
So, yeah, we already talked about Roderick Strong. And then the world title match. Samoa Joe retaining the title. Great match. I'm liking this Hangman Page as a heel. This is good.
Yeah, he's doing a phenomenal job. Yes.
So we have Swerve almost winning the match. Samoa Joe coming in, taking the win basically from Swerve. That shot of Swerve, there's like a still image online of Swerve, and he's just like, I don't know. Like, he's just like sad. And then Nana's hand is just like on his shoulder. That is the perfect wrestling shot. Like, that is like a cinematic shot of Swerve. Just like, it's great.
Sad Swerve.
It was great. So yeah, so a lot of fun stuff at Revolution. And then Darby going through the glass. We didn't even talk about that, I don't think. Darby goes through the glass. Should he have done this, Kris?
No.
No? No.
Absolutely not.
I mean, he did it. He's done. I mean, I don't even know if this was the most brutal. This one may have made the least amount of sense, but that spot Christian did on him on the stairs. And then the Jeff Hardy one where it was pretty similar, just no glass. Onto a bunch of chairs.
Yeah.
Those are all bad, and he could have died on any one of those. But, yeah, no. I'm not going to finger wag because this dude's about to go climb Mount Everest. But I will tell him, do not climb Mount Everest, Darby Allin. Don't do it. Do not do this.
Please don't do it.
People train for years to climb Mount Everest, and they train by climbing other dangerous-ass mountains. And they also don't do it with, like, 30 stitched-up wounds.
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem, I think.
You know? So just don't fucking do it. I don't want to talk about it. Just don't do it. Just climb to, like, you know, the base camp there, wherever, like that. Like, don't, you can't, it's,
Yeah.
How the heck is he going to do this?
Did he say he was going to go to the top? He could kayfabe it, all right?
He's not going to kayfabe anything, I don't think.
No.
He would have kayfabed that glass if he could.
Had to use real glass.
Yeah, cry me a river. He cried, it was a river of blood.
Yeah, that's right.
When Darby used real glass. All right, well, let's move on here. We got to talk about the bloodline. So, folks, a lot has been going on in the world of the bloodline and the Inoue dynasty here. Because when we last caught up with The Rock, it was actually before the WrestleMania press conference, which I thought was great. Everybody had their little criticisms of this guy doesn't look important enough, and Seth looks like a B actor, and it's overshadowing Roman, and it's, you know what I think? I think all four of these guys look like stars, and it's because of The Rock.
I agree.
You know? Seth is getting elevated to the level of these guys who suck up all the oxygen, like basically Cody and The Rock. Think about this. Roman Reigns has been built up over the last 4 years as a godlike figure, right? The longest reigning champion in a long time. Unstoppable, the tribal chief, all the belts, all the titles.
Yep.
You know, the star of this show. They're trying to build him up as the greatest of all time. And he looks like a high school dude compared to The Rock. So the whole thing about The Rock and Roman facing off is that it was supposed to give Roman just that extra boost, right? So Roman beats The Rock. Now it's like he was already, like I said, being built up like this godlike figure, and now it's just a booster, right? We're not getting that match yet. But at the press conference, Cody comes out after this Inoue family tree, which we didn't even talk about. Cody says, this is bullshit. I'm challenging you, Roman Reigns. Then he says, if your grandfather and if the High Chief was here, he invoked the name of the High Chief, Peter Maivia.
Don't you dare, yeah.
Cannot believe this. So this set The Rock off. The Rock, I love it. It's like, hey, he said about 15 times in that kickoff press conference, don't talk about my family again. How many times have you ever seen a fist fight where one guy has already committed assault and he's saying, talk about our family again, and nobody talked about anybody's family?
Yeah.
It happens every time there's a fight. I remember I was working in a fast food place as a teenager, and this cook in the back wanted to see kids fight, so he said, hey, he said your mom's a hoe. And then the kid wanted to fight me over it, and he threw the broom down.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, dude, I didn't say anything about your mom. And it didn't matter to him. It's the same thing with The Rock. It's like, I didn't say anything about your family. Seth Rollins, he's telling Seth Rollins, talk about our family again. Seth Rollins is like, I didn't say anything about your family. You know? So I just thought that was funny. So they had the whole thing. The Rock, Cody is now taking the main event of WrestleMania, and it's back to being Cody and Roman. And what I do think happened, based off of everything and all the news and all the, is this a work? Did they pivot? I do think that as of that Smackdown, when Cody hugged The Rock and gave him the match, I do think the plan was The Rock. And then the fan backlash online and Dave LaGreca, the Cody Crybaby online, made them change it back to Cody, right?
I think so too, yeah.
I just don't think it was always the plan for Cody to like give up the match on a Friday night to then on the next Thursday say I'm taking the match. It's kind of like a weird side direction to go in for no reason in the span of less than a week. So now they had this 4-man face-off, right? I loved when The Rock slapped Cody and Seth Rollins just jumped in. Like, I loved that. And again, a lot of people were saying, like, like I said, oh, he looks like I want to now see Seth Rollins versus The Rock after this.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
And we are getting the match that I booked it, folks. The Rock versus Cody. We just don't know when. It's happening, though. So The Rock joins the Bloodline, puts up the ones, except it's really a L. What was that about with The Rock putting up the L?
I don't
of
know.
the Bloodline? And then this week on SmackDown, well, actually, over at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, Cody challenges The Rock one-on-one. Oh, shit. Where are we even going with this? Cody wins the Royal Rumble. Roman's the champion. Why are you challenging The Rock? But I liked it. Cody challenges The Rock. I just like the chaos of all this. Like, whenever you have to pivot, right, as the word that everybody's using, it can look like there's a bunch of plot holes week to week. Just think about any Vince McMahon episode of Raw from like 3 or 4 years ago, right? It's just week after week, endless plot holes. It gets annoying. But they're doing this in a way that it's just like chaos and you don't know what's coming next. And it really is like a road to WrestleMania. Like, you don't know what's going to happen next week, right? I mean, at this point we kind of do. But, leading up to it, this build has been decent considering the level of actual backstage, fluctuation that they were dealing with. So then The Rock cuts this 21-minute promo on Instagram. This was one of the best wrestling promos ever on Instagram by The Rock, hanging out on his back porch.
Funny.
His Philips Hue lights came on in the background when the sun went down on his porch. Like, the lights kicked on his porch during the middle of his promo. But
He's got a lot to say.
This was a 21-minute just demonstration of why The Rock is the great one. Okay,
That's lit. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because everybody knows The Rock. The Rock is one of the most famous people in the world. He's an amazing famous person. He's an actor. He's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. Most people probably know him from his action movies and just his movie career, right? As being this legendary actor. Guess what? He's actually better at this, right? Than all the other shit. He was the highest paid actor in Hollywood. He's better at this, folks.
I mean, this little run right here, I know this isn't crazy to say, but he might be the greatest of all time.
So this promo sewed together every plot hole of this entire story and just put it on a plate right in front of you and said, here, this is the story now. And again, every plot hole closed. Unlike any other off-the-cuff narration I've ever heard. Because maybe he did it in 2 takes. But it could have just been one.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably was
this
one.
Was not,
The Rock.
This was a segment that you could have shot all day. And The Rock is just rattling off. Okay, Cody, then you did this. Then you came out and you told The Rock this. And he's talking about how when they were backstage before the press conference, right? That again, this is how he ties it together. He says, Cody says, like, I'm going to step aside, I know, right? And then The Rock mentions how when Cody hugged him on SmackDown, The Rock said, let's do it for the American dream and let's do it for the Soul Man.
Yep.
Right? And it's like, we talked a little bit about what I thought The Rock said to Cody in that moment. And then Cody, he does the sad walk away. The Rock is even calling him out for that. The Rock is calling out Dave LaGreca, calling him an idiot in his basement, right?
Hell yeah.
He's like, he shows the clip of Dave LaGreca on Busted Open, and then he goes, I don't know who that idiot is. Or he goes, I don't know who that guy is, but I know he's an idiot. It was just amazing. And he's tying together the whole Bloodline and Cody story. And again, like I said, sealing up these plot holes airtight. Just watch that promo. It tells the whole story. And it's like, incredible that he was able to actually do that. Imagine if any of all of these TV shows that we watch, or even past wrestling stories, were able to have someone just like Deadpool with a time machine going back and just closing up every little plot hole.
He's not. I mean, he might be one of the only people in the entire world who could do that.
I mean, this is what I'm saying. He's a great one. So,
and, I mean, also he has the cachet, I think, at being like a giant movie star to like do on Instagram and have lots and lots of people see it.
Well, it's The Rock's Instagram. It's one of, he's a famous person.
Exactly.
So he talks about Seth Rollins, and he brings up the fact that he's now on the board of directors, and he's blurring the lines. Like he says he's blurring the lines. And he says, Seth Rollins, that World Heavyweight Championship, we could make it go to somebody else. Like, he's blurring the lines, but if you just think about it in terms of within the world of wrestling, like, it's kind of weird, but, just the way The Rock says it, it hasn't crossed that line over to being like Vince Russo WCW territory of like the baby faces and the heels.
Yeah.
You're a baby face, Cody, and I'm the heel.
Oh, God.
It hasn't gotten to that level of like, why the fuck are you talking about this backstage bullshit, right?
The Rock would never let that happen.
But just The Rock smiling and talking about how they're going to take the belt off of Seth Rollins. It's like, what world, what dimension, or what universe did I just fall into? The Rock is like, we could make it go to somebody else. We could make that World Heavyweight Championship go to somebody else. Like, man, take the belt right off him. And then at the end of the promo, he talks about Cody's goofy ass dog. This is crossing a line.
Amazing.
Crossing a line, my man. Pharaoh's a little over the line, my man.
No. How dare you, Rock?
And he calls Seth Rollins the human clown emoji, right? And the way The Rock can just glue a nickname to people the first time he says it is very unique. The Rock says a nickname about you off the top of his head, it is stuck to you for the rest of your career.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like the Fruity Pebbles, John Cena.
Yeah, I don't think that Diarrhea Dwayne's going to stick on The Rock.
Unfortunately not, no. Because they're not The Rock. That's the problem.
Exactly.
And so many other nicknames that he's created, but and it's like, he's not. He's just The Rock, and now he's like a slightly older version of The Rock. So he's got that sort of, he's not a Gen Z tech person. I mean, he's a very tech savvy person, but he's not one of the kids. But then he's able to just come out here and just rattle something off. You're a human clown emoji, And
we just eat it up. It's so great.
Yeah. So he talks about the Cody Crybabies and the human clown emoji, Seth Rollins. And it's just kind of surreal to hear The Rock cutting promos on just, in general, modern day talent. So then on SmackDown, The Rock and the Bloodline come out, and I love this. Roman is perturbed, annoyed, right? And Roman says, this appearance is over. And then Paul Heyman is like, no, he's going to come out. Like, he's still going to come out. And then Roman's like, just sucking his teeth and visibly annoyed, irked. The Rock comes out with the Brahma Bull with the red laser eyes on the Titantron now.
Love it. Yep.
You're talking about Dark Dwayne or something, or if he's telling you to go buy crypto. But he comes out with his like $2,000 shirt or whatever. And now this is another 40-minute segment with the Bloodline. There's a Solo chant. Solo getting some love from the crowd when he gets brought up by The Rock. And The Rock takes over, starts calling the people crackheads. Where were they? Where was this town?
Glendale, Arizona.
Oh, Arizona, right. So The Rock is calling them crackhead Karens. And I tweeted out from the @W Wrestling Pod, or I posted the @W Wrestling Pod X account, that The Rock called these people crackheads, and they followed up with Rocky, Rocky, Rocky. So they're cheering the man calling them all crack and meth users, which is, pretty par for the course for wrestling.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Meth getting a big pop in Arizona.
The Rock wasn't lying.
So, and then, he goes through his whole grandiose promo, and for me, as he's rattling off these lines, I had to like ask myself, am I awake right now or am I dreaming this? When I'm hearing, and you know what that means? That means The Rock is your boss. Like, is this real? Like, The Rock, he is the goddamn boss, for one, but he's also now returned to wrestling. So it's just these two things, these two versions of The Rock, right? The off-screen one that we haven't seen in, 15 years, and then, the on-screen version of The Rock, and then the off-screen, business head honcho guy. It's like they're merging into one, and now The Rock is your boss, Cody. And as he's ending the promo, he says, if you smell, and then Roman grabs his arm. Folks, oof. I'm going to say it. Cinema. Cinema. So Roman, this was perfect. So Roman's like, I need something from you. And the crowd knew. They started cheering.
Hell yeah.
He says, I need you to acknowledge me. And he should have yelled at him, to be honest. He shouldn't have been so nice about it. Like, the tribal chief has not been nice to people in the past about not acknowledging him.
It's true.
So he says, I need you to acknowledge me. And The Rock says, Roman Reigns, my blood, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. Siuli acknowledging Joe as the chief of the tribe. The Rock's the tribal chief, and his real name, and his tribal chief name is Siuli.
Got it.
So The Rock acknowledging his tribal chief. Great. So they shake hands. The Rock says, if you smell, and then Roman says, what the bloodline is cooking. And then they put up the ones, and once again, The Rock does a goofy version of it. What is this? What is with the thumb, man? What are you doing?
It's a little, I know, it's so like goofy that it's weird that no one's brought it up yet, but it's okay.
I was listening to the Masked Man podcast, spoiler, with David Shoemaker and Kaz, and Kaz brought up the fact that he thinks The Rock constantly showing you his thumb is a reference to Solo and the Samoan spike, and he's actually, when the inevitable turn comes, The Rock is going to somehow support Solo.
Oh, hey, all right.
I just think he's just going to turn on Roman eventually.
I think so, yeah. He's like pointing at him with his thumb, like, or an L, like you're a loser. I don't know.
Yeah. I just think he's doing it wrong on purpose.
He's definitely doing it wrong on purpose. There's definitely, and if there's not a reason why, he'll do another Instagram promo, and we'll believe it.
There you go. He'll just seal up those plot holes. But yeah, so great promo from The Rock on Instagram. I mean, I'm watching it, and I'm like 10 minutes in, and I'm like, this is an all-timer.
I mean, it is, and I could watch it every day if I had to. It's like hyped. Like you were hyped when you saw that like Sting kicking out one. That's me watching this Rock promo.
And I don't mean like an all-timer, like an all-time great Rock Instagram video. Like, this was an all-time great wrestling promo. Like I said, it accomplished so much, and people are catching strays left and right in this thing. So, people have complained about the length of the Bloodline opening segment of SmackDown, and I think, like, it's totally fine, because this thing is a whole show in and of itself. So, the only thing you can complain about is that I kind of only care about this now. Like,
I know, yeah.
Whatever was going to follow this is like a little bit less interesting to me. Like, I don't necessarily care so much. I kind of just want to know what's going to happen with The Rock and the Bloodline and Roman Reigns.
And listen, if this was probably not the plan, right? This is maybe the greatest like falling backwards into story in the history of wrestling.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to say about The Rock's Instagram promo is when he's telling this story, it actually is better than anything that they could have actually planned, right?
Yep,
like,
absolutely.
This idea that Cody did give up his spot to The Rock and then took it back as if Cody took something from The Rock. That is incredible. And I think that's kind of an organic, like, that's a result of the cause and effect relationship of the fan backlash and then possibly, WWE changing the plan for the WrestleMania main event. And The Rock is able to just now Cody took something from The Rock, right? And it just adds in this plot element of now The Rock has a reason to be angry at Cody, a grudge against Cody, because you ruined it. But in the beginning, we were asking, like, The Rock just jumping in here doesn't make any sense. Cody just giving up this spot, it doesn't make any sense. Why would he win the Royal Rumble and point up at Roman Reigns and say, you, Roman Reigns, I choose you, Rockachoo. And it's like, this makes it make sense. And it's actually better, I think,
Much better.
Because there's this confusion of like, well, why do you have Cody win the Rumble if you're just going to do this to him and da-da-da? Nope. Gone. All those thoughts are gone. This story is now great.
And how about the perfect use for a 2-night WrestleMania now? The tag match night 1 and then the match night 2. Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah. I no-sold that one. So before The Rock says if you smell The Rock, it's cooking, he has a counteroffer for Cody, who challenged him to a one-on-one match. The Rock challenges Cody and Seth Rollins to a match against Rock and Roman at WrestleMania on night 1. And if Cody and Seth win, then Cody's match with Roman will be free of the bloodline. And here's what I think we're going to do with that. Here's where I'm getting the pen out. I don't know when The Rock is going to turn on Roman. I think they could get a solid SummerSlam type future big match out of it, right? Maybe even you wait till next year at WrestleMania. It's possible. But for this portion, I think that what they could do is The Rock saying like, yeah, we're going to be not at ringside, right? Like we won't interfere. But I think they're going to specifically name all the people who won't interfere, right?
Yes.
Like they're going to say, for one, now I do, yes, I think the baby faces are going to win on night 1. And who's taking that pin? It's Roman. It ain't going to be The Rock, guys.
Sorry, no.
So Roman's going to take the pin on night 1. And then night 2, they're going to say that The Rock, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman won't interfere in the match. That's what I think is going to happen.
And is someone going to interfere in the match?
Yeah, and it's not going to be any of them. It'll be a new person.
Tama Tonga?
I still think it should be Jacob Fatu.
Oh, that'd be great too. Yeah. So, okay. We don't have to get too much into this. I'm sure we'll talk about WrestleMania a lot. But, so are you telling me that Cody is not finishing the story?
So, that's a tough one because they kind of booked themselves into a corner with Cody, right? Not winning. I would even dare to say that the original plan was, I guess the original plan was Cody wasn't even going to wrestle him, but I think that if Cody wins at WrestleMania, it is going to be due to this pressure that the people want Cody to win because this is now the second year of it, right?
Yeah.
I think what you could do is new bloodline member, Jacob Fatu, or Tama Tonga, their Tongan relative.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Costs Cody the match. Roman wins. You go all the way up until Survivor Series. Roman passes Hogan's record. Hogan's gone from all of our memories permanently. And now you do Survivor Series, New York City, Madison Square Garden, the place where Dusty Rhodes held that title, and then they took it away from him. And you do Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns, wins the title. And we could unbeat The Rock too. I don't give a shit. But just Cody wins at Survivor Series in New York City, finishes the story. I just don't think they can get that far. I think they have to. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be a riot if Cody loses, but it could be. Because you have to build heat if you're going to have Cody lose. You can't just have it be this like clean, like, well, the best man won. Sorry, Roman, here's a handshake. Good night. Like, you have to build up heat and they have to screw him over again. And by doing that, you're going to really make these people angry in Philadelphia.
Yeah. And I don't think that you rearrange this entire plan and not have Cody win. Right. So I think it's going to happen. But I also think you say that The Rock isn't taking the pin. I don't know. I think you're right, but I think he should take the pin on night 1. Then Roman loses. Roman could kind of be mad at The Rock for losing in night one, and then they can kind of build their heat for their eventual match.
Yeah, I mean, you could just use The Rock.
Without a full-out turn of The Rock yet, you could still kind of have that going. So,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of interesting stuff. It's going to be a great WrestleMania. The night one match builds so well to night two. Like, after night one, I'll be, like, hyped all day Sunday to see what's going to happen. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for a match. I do want to see Seth Rollins mixing it up with The Rock. I want to see Cody mixing it up with The Rock.
Yes.
Still want to see Roman beat The Rock because, like I said, it's supposed to be that just extra that elevates Roman to this like Mount Olympus level, right? And I still think that this whole time we've wanted that for Roman, right? And now that we almost got it, we decided we didn't want it anymore, right?
I actually kind of like your story better, where Cody wins at Survivor Series and Reigns passes Hogan, but I don't think it can happen. You're right.
Yeah.
It cannot last that long.
I just don't think the people. This is the problem. You court these kind of responses, and then you're gonna. People have a short memory, and they've told people to like let this play out too often. People are like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. We're not letting it play out. We don't trust you. And I mean, it's gotten better over the past few years, but people just don't have the attention span for it. They might still do it. It's a risky ending of that night too. If Roman, gets out of there with that title, he's also going to be getting out of there with people's drinks.
I mean, look at it. And as much as I know, as much as I want to see The Rock and Roman and The Rock face Cody and everything, I don't want happy-go-lucky, I love everyone Rock. I want this Rock.
Yeah.
For 6 more months or whatever.
Yeah. Call every city a crackhead in some way, shape, or fashion, please.
Yes, please. I want it. I need it.
Yeah, it's great. And like I said, people complain about it being 40 minutes, but I liked it, folks. Spoiler.
I'll take 40 minutes of The Rock whenever I can, okay?
Yeah. So, like I said, that is really what I wanted to talk about as far as WWE stories. There's a lot of cool stuff going on right now, and one of the things we could talk about is should Chad Gable beat Gunther at WrestleMania, but we don't have time to get into that. So, but before we get out of here, we are going to talk about a little show we went to last week at this point. Wrestling fan Kris and myself ventured on a nice night. I made Wrestling fan Kris drive to Westfield, Massachusetts for a Blitzkrieg Pro show called Everything Is All Right. And this show was more than all right. I thought it was a really fun show.
Yeah. It might have been the best all-around card that we've seen that wasn't in Worcester.
Yeah, well, there wasn't a Beyond show, basically. So there was a lot of great matches on this card. The main event was Heath, FKA Heath Slater, taking on the atrocity Krule. And folks, we have a lot to say about this monster Krule. This dude is so big and imposing. This is the scariest character in wrestling right now. Krule. Right?
Yeah. I have never been scared of a wrestler in my life until then.
Yes, this was so fun. So I had never seen Krule live before. Dude's gigantic. Looks like a monster.
Yeah, the mask and the contact of the eyes, great, scary, awesome.
Scaring people, for sure. Just choke slams the referee, the poor IWTV ref. Good thing, good thing it wasn't Bill. I don't know if Bill could take it.
I don't brutalize that. That was a brutal choke slam too. That poor referee
set the tone for that match. Just instant chaos. This guy is a monster. You don't know what he's gonna do. I just love the whole aura of Krule.
Yep. He just ate the door. Heath, spoiler, took an actual door from Home Depot, smashed it over Krule's head, and he just took the shot without phase. Oh my god.
We had a 4-way match for the number 1 contender for the Bedlam Championship that was won by Sammy Diaz. So now we are going to get to see Sammy Diaz challenge for the Bedlam Championship. Ali Catch beating one of my personal favorites on the indie scene, VSK. One of the best heels in the indies, folks, VSK.
Absolutely. Guy's a superstar. He should be on TV.
Yes, and not as a butler.
No.
Brutal.
As the Rizzler, as he calls himself.
So
now.
This show started off with the Miracle Generation in the opening match. So right there, they beat the Batiri in a match. Batiri, these guys, some Chikara alums, They have a lot of double team maneuvers
Yes.
in their arsenal. This is a fun match, fun opener. Like I said, Allie Katch defeated VSK. She just called her shot, basically. She said that she's also going to challenge for the Bedlam Championship in Springfield, Massachusetts next month, or this month. So now we're getting a three-way match. The Bedlam Champion, TJ Crawford, spoiler,
Ooh.
Allie Katch, and Sammy Diaz. So I booked this one in the car on the way to the show. So we had spoiler, CPA and a mystery partner were taking on Angelo Carter and Jay George, 35mm Magic. Kris, who did I say I thought was going to be CPA's partner when we were eating Chinese food before the show?
I mean, you said it in like this exact tone too. It's probably going to be Logan Black, just like that.
Yeah.
No big deal.
It was CPA's arch nemesis, Logan Black, showing up to be his partner. And that was fun. What else did I book on this card here?
Yeah, there was something else you booked too. What was it?
So the four-way match, it was Akira, Ichiban, Aaron Rourke, and Sammy Diaz. Just a phenomenal lineup for a four-way match. And it was just this one funny part in the beginning. Aaron Rourke is in the ring, and somebody goes, "You suck." And he just looks at the ring, and he goes, "I certainly do not." And it's like, very true. Aaron Rourke does not suck, folks. Not at all. Like,
phenomenal.
So, one other thing I booked in the car ride over. East Mountain Country Club in Westfield. Low ceiling for a wrestling show. In the past, we've been there, and I think it was Allie Katch hit the ceiling, right? So yes. I said to Kris, I don't know how Aaron Rourke's going to pull off that moonsault off the top rope onto the outside. But he did it.
It was incredible, yeah. Scary.
So Leary put out an open challenge. Kris, when we were eating Chinese food before the show, who did I say I thought was going to accept Leary's open challenge?
Oh my God. Listen, I don't even remember.
It was Dante Drago.
Of course it was. You said that. Exactly. Another nonchalant thing. You were like, Dante Drago. Just like that.
Yeah.
Like, how'd you pull that out?
I'm telling you. So, Leary issues an open challenge. Dante Drago and his new partner, recent Creative Pro graduate, Nick Robles, Delta House, as they're known, answered Leary's challenge, but there was two of them and only one of Leary. So Leary needed a partner. In runs the human monster truck, Perry Von Vicious, to team up with Leary and beat these two fools all around the East Mountain Country Club.
Yes.
This was chaos. Some kids were getting involved.
Light tube action.
Light tube burst. I don't think I told the story about how when I was outside by my garbage can and I popped the light tube. I was cleaning out this basement here. I'm a Cody Crybaby. I'm in my basement. Cleaning out this basement. I had a couple of light tubes. Brought them outside. I tried a little super kick maneuver. The only thing that happened was light tubes. Dust just blasted me in the face. And I'm telling you, I felt so many pieces of glass just cut me. My ears, just glass. God. And this was a very light tube explosion. I basically just dropped it by accident. And these light tubes, it was like a burst of wind that was made of glass. Just cut my whole face on both sides, right? And I had a light tube piece in my ear, like just kind of sitting in my ear.
Oh.
And this is just from like cleaning my basement. And this dude, Dante Drago, took a light tube and just exploded it. Actually, who took the light tube to the face? Let me see if I have
Leary.
it. Leary, yeah, he just busted Leary open. You know, Leary, he wasn't bleeding that much. He kind of just stopped bleeding.
Yeah, it was...
He was bleeding for a second or two.
It was still pretty devastating, but...
But it was a light tube. In close proximity to us.
And he tried it at first, and it didn't really smash at first, and it was just the quietest anything's ever been. And then it smashed, and everyone erupted.
So... I mean, so this was a hell of a way to start this show, right? Like, this was a decent show. And then there's an intermission. We come back from intermission, and the next match was the Even Stevens, Steven Azure, better known to some as Stang, and Steve Somerset, taking on Kirby Wackerman and Delightful Dan, the goddamn Candyman. And just the ring attire of the tag team of Candy Wackerman made the guy behind me... He goes, you know, this show was good, but after intermission, I don't know if I can stick around for this. You know, But just between the sweater vests and the peanut butter cup singlet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was our return from intermission. Then we had a very good match. TJ Crawford and Marcus Mathers getting the respect they deserve from the crowd, folks.
It was like Rock Hogan.
Just half the crowd chanting, "Let's go TJ." Half the crowd chanting, "Let's go Marcus." Then Marcus Mathers and TJ Crawford. Let's see if I got a video here. That went on for 5 minutes.
Legitimately 5 minutes.
And these guys deserved it. But that just made me think, like, this crowd in Westfield, it's like, do they know what they're getting? Are these are not just people off the street. They're not just people from the bar. If we're going to chant for these two for 5 straight minutes.
That's true.
But yeah, great match. TJ Crawford retains the Blitzkrieg Pro Bedlam title. Then we got a surprise one. 50 Cal and the 50 crew.
I guess so.
The Shook crew coming out wearing 50 Cal's gear. Like literally, they probably had all of his gear between the three of them. Just a bunch of leggings, tie-dye leggings, and 50 Cal shirts. Defeating Eric Cha-Cha, Jake Long, and Tristan Kyle. Surprise little match there. 50 Cal showing
Had
up.
the cooldown. Yeah.
Then, like I said, with the main event, Krule defeats Heath. All right, so like I said, Krule starts off the match, choke slams the ref, right? So when Heath is coming out, this is what I like about the indie scene is you can have these matches that are so far-fetched. Like, Krule is like this giant monster, and Heath is like this happy-go-lucky, like, party guy.
Yep.
And so Krule comes out, it's this ominous scene. Like, there's now a monster in the room with us, right? Like, this is like Stranger Things shit. And then Heath's coming out, and it's like, he's trying to get that nice indie reception of like, y'all know me. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure there were plenty of people there just to see Heath. And he's just like dancing around the crowd and just keeps looking over at Krule like, psh, I am fucked. Right?
Yes.
So just a fun match. Heath getting destroyed by Krule.
They came into the crowd, all sides of the crowd.
Oh, they went
Awesome.
all over the place. And how about this dude who did a baseball slide in the crowd?
Full sprint to a baseball slide to his seat. Yeah.
Just decided to baseball slide back to his chair in the front row.
I mean, look, I'm scared of Krule too, but I don't think I'm pulling that out.
I don't think I have a baseball slide in me.
I wouldn't pop up, okay?
But yeah, they were over in like the back corner by the bar. It was just chaos, right? They're over by the bar. They're coming around by the merch tables. They come over to us. Krule's like, move. And everybody just gets up and moves. I kind of didn't move. I'm telling you, dude, there was this one spot where they're in the chairs, and these are like the chairs that don't fold, like banquet chairs. So they don't like move easily on a carpet. And he just throws Heath across the chairs, right? And then they're in the chairs, in the seats, and all the people are moved out of the way. And this was just, maybe not everybody there was like a smart wrestling fan. There was this girl there who got stuck in the middle of the seat. She's like one seat over and one row in front of Krule beating the shit out of Heath. And this guy's like a monster. He's legitimately scary. And she's just stuck there, and there's these two separate groups of people, and she's just in the middle. And she looks at her friend, and she's like, I don't like this. And then Krule looks over at me. And I just said, yeah, let's go. Like,
you had to do that.
Just looks at me like as if this is Stranger Things and there's a Demogorgon on the loose. And I know Demogorgons don't have like eyeballs, so it's not really a good comparison. But like a Demogorgon is just eating Barb, and they just catch you and they turn around and look at you like you're next. That's how Krule looked at me. I had the fear of God in me.
Yeah,
and all
you
I
had to
could
play
think
it
to
off.
say was,
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, let's fucking go.
At least we know what you'll say when you stare death in the face.
I know my sin. As I stare death in the face, I know my sins will take me to hell. So we got to talk a little bit more about Krule, folks, because we are bringing back the post-show. We are heading into the post-show universe after the podcast. So if you are inclined, support the podcast on Patreon, patreon.com/watchwrestling. We are going to be doing a post-show segment called The Book of Wrestling. This is the Book of Wrestling, folks. We are going to be booking a necessity, because after seeing Krule in person, there is one company that needs a monster like Krule and can benefit from having Krule, and that is AEW. AEW needs Krule, and we are going to book Krule's AEW debut on the post show. So check that out. It'll probably be up on the main feed next week. It's going to be a Patreon exclusive. The Book of Wrestling, we are going to book the AEW debut of Krule, so you don't have to. But it is a must. It is necessary. Krule is a monster. He is a scary MF. And we are going to book his AEW debut on the post show. So check that out. But for now, it's getting to be that time. It's time to get out of here. Thanks for checking out the show. Thanks for sticking with us to the end of the podcast. Thanks for following us on social media, because you will follow us on social media at W Wrestling Pod on X, at Watch Wrestling Podcast on Instagram, and at Watch Wrestling Pod on Facebook. And if you're on other platforms, sorry, I don't have time for those yet. But yes, thanks again, folks. My name is Mike Wellman. What does this button do?
What's a baby face? He may need attention. Somebody hit somebody!
Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. Help me.
Won't open. Won't open. Not this one. Not this one. None of them open.